Good morning, Honors Math 1. Today we begin Chapter 2, and we'll be doing the start of Chapter 2 over Monday and Tuesday. Remember, when you're in class this week on Monday and Tuesday, you will be taking the Chapter 1 test. Um, you are not doing the review and preview for this section yet. We're going to do that and another small activity on Wednesday. So today's a little bit longer in terms of my expectations for the product you produce. So I've decided to give you the full class time plus the time that you would normally allocate for the review preview or homework. So let's go ahead and read the introduction here. Chapter 2 will focus on slope and y-intercept of linear functions. Now this is clearly something that you've looked at in the past, and we'll be extending it definitely. You will look for a connection among the multiple representations of linear functions, a table, graph, equation, and situation. So think about that. We're going to look for connections among them. So if you know something about the table, what does that tell you about the graph? If you know something about the table, what does that tell you about the equation? If you know something about the situation, what does it tell you about all three of them? So we're trying to figure out ways to move from one of those representations to another efficiently. In this chapter, you will come to a deeper understanding of slope than you may have had in a previous course, and you explore the idea of slope as a rate of change. Guiding questions: mathematically proficient students reason abstractly and quantitatively and attend to precision. As you work throughout this chapter, ask yourself, can I create a representation of a problem, consider the units involved, and understand the meaning of the quantities using tables, graphs, and equations? Something that will come up today, because you're going to be using the E tool in Desmos, you're going to need to be able to take screenshots on a Chromebook. So this icon is commonly referred to as the Windows switcher. When you hit that, it will switch between different open windows on your Chromebook. And if you need to grab the entire screen, you can just press Control and that key. If you just want to capture a specific area of the screen, you would press Control, Shift, and the Windows switcher, right? Like that. And you don't have to do them all at once. You would just hit the Control, then Shift, then the Windows switcher. Then a cursor will pop up where you can drag over the portion of the screen that you want to copy. Once that's copied, then you can move to Docs and paste that into Docs. How does it grow? Seeing growth in linear functions. Throughout this chapter, you will explore the multiple representations of a linear function. You will look for tile patterns using growth and number of tiles in figure 0, which is interesting because figure 0 is kind of important. Figure 0, not figure 1. Of these linear relationships, to find specific combination or connections between situations, tables, graphs, and equations. The specific situation you will work with today is the growth of tile patterns. As you work today, keep these questions in mind. How can I see the tile pattern? How many tiles are in figure 0? What's the connection between the pattern and the equation? What is the connection between the pattern and the table? So, in fact, I really recommend that at certain points during the day you come back and look at this in your ebook and say, am I understanding the connection between the pattern and the equation? Am I understanding the connection between the pattern and the table? And they keep talking about the number of tiles in figure 0. So keep those things in mind. The first pattern you're going to look at is this, and I don't want you to do this in the resource page. If you were to click this on the ebook, it would open up and it would be a PDF that would just be a static picture. I would like for you to use the 2-1 student e-tool. So open this up and use that to investigate. When you do open it up, you'll see this, and it turns out that they've got a complete list of the questions that I would like for you to address. So for 2-1, which only relates to pattern A, it says, what do you notice about the pattern? Try to focus on beyond its green, right? What do we notice about this pattern? B, sketch the next figure, which would be 4. So what would that look like? If you come down here, because I do want a screenshot of this, if you come down here, you can see that there's general tools. Here's a you could drag this over here and you can change the color of these, although it's fine with me if you leave them red, but you can change the color of these. And I want you to build figure 4, and I believe yes, schedule 4, and then also build figure 0. Is the name of the figure that comes before figure 1. So figure 0 here is the one that comes before the first figure we draw. So they also want us to sketch figure 0. By how much is the tile pattern growing? Are these tiles being added with each new figure, or are we multiplying? What would figure 100 look like for pattern A? Don't do that. Describe it in words. How many tiles would be in the 100th figure? Find as many ways as you can to justify this conclusion. So that's kind of a big question, right? And it's not something I want you to just like, that's why I'm not having you do the review preview tonight. I want you to think about that and give your thoughtful response there. And then also write an equation that relates figure X to the number of tiles Y. So X would be the figure number, and then the output for that function would be how many tiles are in it. So when I put 3 in, I should get this many tiles as my answer. So as you work today, you're going to use the lesson, the 2.1.1 lesson report document that's attached to this assignment. And what I'm expecting to see for each one of these questions 1, 2, 3, and 5, you'll notice I skipped 4, is I want to see an image of your final tile pattern. So I've copied that, and using the instructions I'm going to go ahead and paste that into here. And something you might want to consider doing, if you select a file like this in Google Docs, you'll notice that you'll see this wrap text option. If I choose that, I can bring this over to a certain side, and what I have the ability to do now is to write inside of here and leave the image off to the side. So below 2-1, I'm looking for responses to the questions that were laid out in the doc. So for example, these questions, right? What do you notice about tile pattern A? Sketch the next figure in the sequence. This one's interesting. You're not going to have to write anything here. You're just going to actually do that. That's going to be the image that you create. And then C, by how much is pattern A growing? Where are the tiles being added in each new figure? And color the new tiles in each figure with a marker or color pencil. And you can click on those and change the colors. So this is what I'm looking for. And when you go on to figure 2, again, you're going to use the E tool again, and you're going to respond to the same questions. It says complete all of problem 2-1 for pattern B. So in question 2, we're going to be addressing the same items above, but we're going to do it for pattern B. For question 3, they give me the equation of the tile, and then they ask me to copy and fill in a table for pattern C. And then they ask me to do some things without actually ever seeing it, right? By how many tiles is each figure in pattern C growing? What is the starting value? How can you use the table to determine the growth and starting values? And where do you look in the equation to see the growth and starting values? So really kind of key summary items here as you do those. And then we are then going to 5. So we're not, I've left question 4 out of here in the ebook, so you can skip that. And then we're going to do pattern 5, which is this one, and it has slightly different questions. So that's what we're looking for today. Remember, you do not have to work alone, even though you're at your home alone. Feel free to spin up any Google meetings and get together with classmates to discuss these items and work together. Or feel free to completely work independently. That's fine. When you're done today, you're going to submit the doc, and And again, do not do the review preview tonight. That's not assigned. All right, this is Mr. Roberts. Have a good day. I'll see you in class soon.